So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today on the XRM Vision Power Apps and AI Builder webinar about discovering the potential of artificial intelligence for your business. This meeting is recorded, so if you don't want to share any of your thoughts or don't want to be recorded, you can leave the meeting now. Otherwise, you can use the Zoom raise hand feature and or use the Q&A panel that we will be monitoring as we go along. Don't hesitate to ask your questions as we go along. The value is for you. And here we go. So our webinar today will be covering a few items, such as providing a quick introduction about who XRM Vision is and who am I and so on. And then we'll go into the subject of at least giving a brief reminder about what the Power Platform is about, what is AI Builder, and then we'll deep dive into 3 different use cases that will help you understand the potential. Those being the paper form processing, image recognition, and the business card scanner. And then if time permits, we have Q&A, but like I said, you can also proceed with your questions as we go along. I'll let my friend, good buddy, colleague, Pierre, talk about the company.
All right, good. So we have 22 PowerPoint slides to talk about us, and then a few minutes left to do the actual demo. So don't worry, that's the only slide about us. That's the subject of the presentation. But we are a Microsoft Gold partner in the business apps world and the Power Apps world. What that does mean is every certifications, also sales and customer satisfaction. This is not as easy as it used to be a gold partner at Microsoft. We won this year in Canada the Business App Impact Award. So I'm not saying it, Microsoft is saying we're the best business app partner in Canada. So here you go, I said it. So we were founded in 2008, so 12-year existence. XRM, so we're from the CRM, Dynamics CRM at the time world. And our company name reflects what Microsoft did with the Power Platform, which is a rapid application development method. And that comes from the Dynamics world. So it was a natural extension of what we always been done. And Éric, who is our practice lead, will go into more details about that. But that's basically we are 55 employees and over 400 implementation of CRM. So we are strictly focused on CRM Power Apps, if you will, and Power Platform, plus in Microsoft. That's what we do. That's our DNA, and that makes us successful. So back to you, old Éric.
Thank you, Pierre. So about me, just quickly, if you need to find me on any of the media platforms, you can just look up the Z Power Diver tag name. You'll find blog tweets and so on. I've been with XRM Vision for almost 5 years. It's going to be 5 years this fall. Working mostly in the projects as a solutions architect, and also, like Pierre was saying, I'm the Power Platform practice lead, very active in the community. Been recognized as a certified trainer late last year, and beginning of this year as a most valuable professional MVP, which kind of says, Éric, you're doing a good job at sharing your knowledge. So, in the actual content, let's start with the beginning about a reminder. What the Power Platform? What is it? What is it about? Just to make sure we all start at the same level. So, right now there are 4 main parts of the Power Platform that you can use to build your solutions. Either it be to do the analysis, the reports, the dashboards, aggregate data. You can use Power BI for that. And then you can build different applications on different form factors, either it be for the phone or the web or other areas, even the like portals, things like that. You can use Power Apps to build those. Then all the automations for data transformation, approvals, automating like RPAs, like repeatable process that you want to automate to interface with maybe like an old app that doesn't have APIs. You can use Power Automate for that. And the last kid or the new kid on the block, the way to interact, or your customers can interact with you, or even employees interact with some of the capabilities or data that you have in your system. You can use Power Virtual Agents for that. Those are the 4 main tools or set of tools that you can use within the Power Platform. The whole platform is really about providing an extendable platform where you have both like low codes and professional developers involved, different configurators, different skill sets that allows the system to have no pitfalls. And all this is built on strong access to a extended metadata database system, which is the CDS or Common Data Service. You can access different connectors for data that is online or even on premise through gateways. There's like over 300 connectors available out there that you can use in the different tools, as well as AI Builder, which is a service available in different areas, and that's what we're focusing on today. So, what is AI Builder? Like I said, don't hesitate if you have questions, either raise hand or use the Q&A panel. So, about artificial intelligence or machine learning. The traditional way, like when you don't have a low-code type of tool like the AI Builder, is like building and fine-tuning an engine, like a sports car engine type of thing. You need to have highly skilled technicians that know about the data, that know how to integrate it, that know how to like massage it, transform it, interpret it, and build the apps or dashboards that you want to use the machine learning or I guess train it or things like that. So it can be very effort consuming. Like you can have a lot of, like you need very high expertise that you may not have within your organization, and you need the right skill set there. Now, when you move into a world where we have AI Builder, you have 2 types of models that are available. One, which is the custom model. This one, you train your AI Builder model using your historical data. So think about it about like changing a tire on a car. Pretty much everybody can do it. Even Pierre, I'm sure he can do it. Like you get a basic set of instructions. Not sure, Pierre?
I can, but I won't.
Yes, exactly. So the idea here is, it's something that is fairly accessible. You have the instructions. Yeah, you have to get your hands a bit dirty, but it's pretty much anyone can do it. You don't need to get professional trainings to get that. That's the point about custom models. So you build them based on your historical data that you have in your company. Now, about pre-built models, that's the other type of models that you have in AI Builder. That's like hopping into a car, turning on the key, and just driving off with the rooftop off. enjoying the sunshine. That's like the quickly way to use the different AI builder models. So today we'll look at the what they are about and what's the difference between them. And most of all, what happens is the pre-built models, those are using industry data or Microsoft provided data. So that's what it is. So what are they about? So custom models, you have 5 types of custom models. They be category classification, and what I can do here is just show you within the Power Platform. If you go in the AI Builder section, you'll see what all those models are about. So we have category, all the pre-built ones are these big tiles. So category classification about taking some text and making some sense out of it, know what it's about, and make it easier to process. So I'm receiving an email or I'm receiving a document. I'll go through the category classification and understand what are the main subjects, and be able to maybe send that email to the right department based on what the content. Then another similar processing is entity extraction. So this one is about recognizing specific information. So here, what we'll look to is get some specific data out of the text. Okay, this is about the name, that is about the country, and so on. So I'm providing it some text, I'm receiving an email, and I'm able to extract structure, like semi-structured information within that email. So I could then again see that, okay, I have some information about phone numbers, I can extract them and maybe do some lookup in my database to see, do I recognize that phone number? And maybe this email or this document that I'm receiving is related to an account or a contact that I have, and then process it accordingly. Or based on maybe some state information, maybe send it to the right territory manager, things like that. That's what I'm able to do with using like entity extraction. Form processing, we'll go more into details because that's one of the example scenarios that we have. This one is really about, for example, I have a standardized purchase order or invoice that I'm receiving, and I'll be able to extract the data within it, and then again, put that data into a structured information. So I get the invoice via maybe like a shared OneDrive, or maybe I get it through PDF in an email, or I have one of my agents that is out in field, he's taking the picture of the PO or the invoice. I can process it using one of those models and then recognize the data, and I don't have to key in all that information. So I don't have to key in who it's from, or the dates, or the details about the what's been invoiced in there. I can only look through it, validate it, and press proceed. Object detection. This one is about looking at pictures and recognizing what's in there. A great example of that could be for with the maybe some issues we have with having quality or resources that have extensive experience. And maybe I'm a business of inspecting the buildings. So I'm a building inspector, and I have to see if there's flaws in the walls or foundations or anything like that. So I could have the junior inspector go on the site, take pictures, and recognize if there's a flaw in that area or things like that. Or other scenarios, it's about taking inventory. I go out in a shop, take a picture, and I can look at the inventory. What are the items and how many of those items are within that picture? Those are the types of scenario we can use with that. As for prediction, here is really about, kind of says, predicting. So based on historical data that I have, so let's say I'm a retail company and I've been shipping all my goods throughout different areas, and maybe in one part of the world have higher issues, and I've seen a pattern where depending on the address or different areas, I should upgrade my shippings to maybe the express service instead of the standard service, because the standard service is really taking way too long in those areas, and I have to manage customer that are not satisfied and so on. So this, I could, based on my historical data, look at the pattern and apply that to my next sales. So I could upgrade the shipping service based on the pattern. That's another. So those are the different types of custom models. So those are the ones that you need to train. You need to provide it with historical data, train, and then use it. So what you get there with these, what you'll need, like I said, is historical data. So the biggest effort that you have to do here is making sure that you have quality data, and in some cases you might have to kind of manipulate it, work it around, so you have a good subset. So that's where the biggest effort is about preparing your data for this. Now, get straight to productivity. This is the ones that I call the pre-built models. There's a series of models that you can use directly. You don't have to train it. It's based on industry data or Microsoft data or just good practice. They can recognize. So for example, business card reader, I provided the business card. So I'm in a conference, a live conference, if ever that happens again. I could scan a business card and just extract the data out of it. We'll go into detail of this scenario afterwards. Category classification is just an extension of the one that is that we have here, but based on industry data or pre-built data. So it's just like same thing with entity extractions. Those are ways that I can start with what Microsoft has provided already instead of using my own historical data. Key phrase extraction. So that's about what are the highlights of what I've been writing, or the message, the text that I've received. Language detection, pretty easy to understand. Receipt processing, that's one of the new kids on the block. So this one is about, let's say I have salespeople that are out on the road and they have receipts, and I want to be able to extract the information out of it. I can use that pre-built models. Don't have to train it, just use it. And I can have my app or my flow that use this one. Sentiment analysis, that's a very nice one to use either for doing social media monitoring, see what is out there, see how maybe I can react to tweets or posts that are either positive or negative. I could send those, depending on the case, to my customer service department or to my marketing department to promote the tweet, or to actually respond to that tweet and see maybe you didn't look at the instructions, let me talk to you about that, send you out to videos, things like that. So I can I can send those to the right areas. Text recognition, so I look at an image and I'll see what the actual data is. An example of what I built there is a license plate reader. I take a picture and it will take the text out of it, and based on the size, actually we take the largest part and use that for license plate. And text translation is another one of the new ones. It's to be able to translate text into different languages. So that's what we have for the different available models, customs, and pre-built. So let's get into the real fun, the actual use cases. So I'll be working through three demos. One is the form processing. Then we'll look into the object detection, recognizing the images. and then the business card reader. So take a picture of a business card and get the data out of it. So I'll walk you through the steps of building a custom models, and it's pretty similar in the way it's done for the different models. So the idea here is understanding how we can train one, and the same similar concepts apply to the other ones. It's very easy. So within the Power Apps Studio, I go into the AI Builder section, and I go into Build area, and then I select Form Processing. So get started.
So far, so good. I could do this, Eric.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Easy. Very
easy. So here I'll get the information about what I'll need to be able to proceed. So in this case, I need 5 or more documents with the same layout. Because form processing is about processing forms that are similar. I need to train it. So it's like, for example, a purchase order that is based on my template, or an invoice that I'm receiving from company XYZ, or different companies but are using the same type of format. I need to train a model for each of those. And in most cases, you'll get the best practices about what you should do or not do. So I create this model, and it will guide me through with all the steps about what I need to do. So in this case, I need to provide it with my historical data. So this is about adding documents, or providing it with a set of documents that it will train itself on. So I can use different areas, either from SharePoint, from Blob, and I can even get sample documents out of here. So I have a series of invoices, and if we, you just look at, oops, sorry, should have selected all of them. Add documents.
Eric, you should all of
yes.
them.
Yes.
Not just one.
Yes. Thank you, Pierre. So I have my 5 different invoices, and I do a first process where the AI Builder tool will look into those documents. We'll look at what is similar from one to the other, what seems to be the same, and what is different. So this way it will recognize what are the labels, so the titles of the columns or the fields, and what is actual data. So if I say invoice date in every of those forms, that's the label, so it will not use that as data, but the actual date that is next to it, it will see it as actual data that it extracts. So once it's there, it provides me with the result based on one of those invoices. So I have the first invoice, okay, pretty simple. I have the from section, bill to, the items, different set of items, invoice, and so on. And as you can see, when I move along, it highlights me with what the system has detected as being fields within that invoice. And I can go and say, okay, this one here, yeah, that's the invoice. It's the right label for it. Go add it. Date, I could change it to invoice date, set it there, so it's added here. Due date, I need that. Balance due, yeah, I need that. Okay, so now the from, maybe it's too large for me, so I could go out and say, you know what, this is the from company name, and then provide it with the next section, which is the from company address, and so on. Okay, so you get the idea. I could go with the whole block like this. So you decide. You can train it based on what you see is valuable, and same thing within the table underneath here. could say, okay, this is a full table, go and add it, and add the different items within it. So let's say subtotal tax, boom, boom. And I can change the label or not. So add it, and add it. Confirm fields. So I could go and look into the different invoices, and why it's asking me is because since I didn't pick the default one, I need to train it on the other one. So this one tells me to say, okay, the from company is here, and the from address is there. Same thing with the other one. So I train it. This one, oops, just a bit too big. Company name. There we go. So we're done. So even because it's something that it didn't recognize itself, it was able to adapt itself based on it. So here I have the result of what the analysis has provided. And now I just go out and actually train the system. So I did the processing, the analysis of the documents. I provided it with historical data. In this case, I had 5 invoices. The more data, the more data that I provided that is different, the better the training will be, the better the result will be. So here I have my different models. So here it's being trained. So eventually it's going to be changing. Yeah, so it's in the training mode. So eventually it's going to be trained. So when it's done, we'll go and look into it. But so yeah, the more data and the more different type of data, so the more number of invoices I would have provided it, the better it's going to be able to process any new forms that I will be processing once it's trained. So training for the 5 invoices usually is just between like 2-3 minutes. I shouldn't have to talk that much for that. But what I'll do is I'll just show you how, in the meantime, how it goes for the object detection. Pretty similar. I won't do the whole process because there's no need right now, no added value because it's very similar. But just so you understand, you see in this case, I would need 15 images for each object. So I would create my object detection model. So I'll say, what type of objects am I actually looking at? And this will help the system kind of work with the what it's going to be looking for within the images by default. So we'll go with the common objects. So I'll say object names. So those are, what are the different objects that I will look for in my image? So I just can't get right. Just like this, yeah. So what are the objects that I'm going to be looking for in my images? And then I add the actual images. So again, I'll upload different photos in this case. It will upload those images.
Rick, you can
yes.
them out.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Thank you, Pierre. Good thing you're there to help me out. So the point here, it needs at least like 15 images per object. So that's why here I have like maybe 30 images, but some of them have multiple objects, some have one. And with images, you want the images to be, the pictures to be from different angles, with different lighting conditions and so on, just so, again, your training gets better. So you'll see here, maybe you have multiple objects in them. Sometimes you have something else. And like we did with the form, what you have to go through is through all those images and say, you know what, this is my, oh, it's green tea, the mint, so let's say cinnamon. Yeah, cinnamon. This, that, you see, even though it sees that this is an object with the round square around it, this is not something that is of value for me, so I will not select it. But I could go on a different image and say, you know what, I don't like the box around it. I can select it myself. I could even say, well, you know what, this thing here is actually rose tea. You know, so I could train it along, either it be with something that it detects itself within the image, like this, or by selecting an area and giving it the actual tag or what it's supposed to recognize. So I need to go through all those images, tag the items, and then when I'm done tagging, I can go and train my model. So I'll just leave this guy done tagging. I'll just go back to save and close. Go back in my models. So the form processing you see now is trained. So we can go and look at it. So here are the details about how was this model built. Because right now we're doing it, we know, but maybe in 2 months, I'm not sure what it was about. So I can go here and see, okay, what was the data source that I used to train that model? So I know it was from images that are from my device, but it could say from a SharePoint drive or the Azure Blob area. And what are the different fields that it's able to extract? I can test it. So once you've trained it, you want to make sure that it's actually working as expected. So test it. I'm using a different form. So it's a form that was not part of my training. So that's how you want to test it. So it's going to be processing. So now the model is trained based on the data. And here I'm using that training and looking into how it's been able to recognize the data. So you see my actual look at the from company and from company address. It's having issues looking into it, so I would have to redefine it more properly, or maybe providing it with more forms to train with. And you see why the confidence score is only 44%, while here it's like 77% or 100% and so on. So this is where the more fine you get within the form, the more training you need to provide, or more precision you need to give it. But you know, it's a way to look at it. But let's say it works good. From there, what I would do next, and that's the same thing with the object detection one, I need to publish it. So right now it's still like something that I work with, but now if I publish it, what will happen is it will make this model available, like if it's in production now, it will make it available in my flows, in my Power Automate flows, and in my Power Apps. So I can use it within those.